Okay, this is the video to discuss the answers and discuss the work for the Chapter 2 study guide. So if you're watching this video before you even attempted the study guide, go ahead and stop it now, and then you can start it over, because I want you to try all of these before you watch this video. This video is to help you know what you need to study. So try to go through as many problems as you can without your book or other resources and see how many you can answer on your own. That's just going to make things a lot easier. If you get stuck, circle the number. That way you know you need to study that one a little bit more. Okay, so once you finish the study guide, go ahead and watch this video and we'll go through it, and we're going to talk about all the answers. That way you're prepared for the test that is going to be coming out tomorrow. So on number 1, it says, what is 1/4 written as a percent? Okay, we talked about this. We know that all percents are over 100. In a fraction, all percents are over 100. They're out of 100. So if I start with 4, I can get to 100 by multiplying it by 25. Well, like I've been saying, whatever you do at the bottom, you have to do the top. So it'd be 25. Well, that's a percentage, so it'd be 25%, which is letter B. Okay? So that's how it works. When you start with a fraction, we talked about this in, I think, lesson 2 or 3. Okay? You need to just try to get 100 on the bottom. The goal is to get 100 on the bottom in a fraction for a percent, because all percents are out of 100. Now, number 2, they give you a percent, and they want you to write it as a fraction in the simplest form. So, first off, 22.5%. Okay, I'm going to turn this into a full-on decimal. It's just going to make things a lot easier. So remember that when you have a percent like this, you can move the decimal to the left 2 times because we're dividing by 100. So 1, 2. So now I just have a decimal, 225 thousandths. Well, since it's place value, I know it's 225 over 1,000, which I'm going to go ahead and divide a 25 out. So when you divide a 25 out, you get 9 over 40, which is letter H. Okay? So that's how those work. So if you get a percent like this, I would go ahead and change it into a percent or a decimal, and then complete it or put it into a fraction, because then you have the place value. It makes things a little bit easier. Now, number 3, what is 575% written as a mixed number? Okay, so first off, once again, just like this, I'm going to make it a decimal. So I know that I can move the decimal point 2 times to the left because I'm actually dividing by 100. So it's going to be 5 75 hundredths. Well, like I talked about with mixed numbers, this number in front of the decimal, that's your whole number. So that automatically goes to your answer. We're only worried about that part right there, what's after the decimal for your fraction. Well, it's 75 hundredths, so 75 over 100. Well, we can divide a 25 out. So you get 3/4, 5 3/4, which is letter A. Okay. All right, now on the next one, number 4. What is 399 thousandths written as a percent? Okay, so we have a decimal, and we want to go to a percent. So on that, so with this one, remember, since we're starting with a decimal going to a percent, I multiply by 100. So if I'm trying to find a percent, I multiply by 100 and move the decimal to the right 2 times. So that'd be 39 9/10%, letter G. Okay. Now, number 5, 7 1/5 written as a percent. So first off, I'm going to turn this into a decimal. So I know that 7 automatically goes in front of my decimal. It's a whole number. Now we got to look at 1/5. So I want to make that a decimal. So remember that little cheat trick that I taught you guys back in lesson 1 or 2, that if you have a decimal or a fraction, 1/5, and you can get 10, 100, or 1,000 in the denominator, that makes things a lot easier because that's place value. Well, I can make 5 a 10 by multiplying it by 2. So I get 2/10. Well, that means 2/10 is just 0.2, 7.2, which is, now we have our decimal. Now we have to move it 2 times to the right. So we have to move it 2 times to the right because we're multiplying it because we're still trying to get a percent. That was a decimal. We want a percent. So 720%, letter D. Now, number 6. They give you a percent, and they want to write it as a decimal. So 86%. So since I'm starting with a percent and going to a decimal, I divide. So start with percent, go to decimal, divide. So 1, 2 to the left. 0.86, 8600ths, which is letter H. Okay, 7, 8, 9, and 10. This is all that finding the percent of a number. Remember, of means to multiply. So in this case, if we're trying to find 32% of 60, we multiply this out. So I have to first turn this into a decimal. So if I move it 2 times to the left, that would be 32 hundredths times 60. Doesn't matter the order, because remember, like I said, when you multiply, this decimal doesn't matter until the very end. So 0, 0, gotta add 0 because we're dropping down a level. 6 times 2 would be 12. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 1 is 19. So we add these up. Okay, we get 1,920. But now we have to go back and move our decimal 2 places. 1, 2. So it's 19.2, 19 and 2 tenths. So that is letter A. Okay, same thing for the next one. I'm going to change that 340% to a decimal. So I get 3.4 times 35. So 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 is 17. Bring that to 0. 3 times 4 is 12. And 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So now we add this up. And now we have to move the decimal just 1 time. So it's 119.0, just 119, which is letter H. Alright, so now number 9. It says find 15 hundredths of a percent of 43. Okay, so down here, I gotta first make that a decimal. So 15 hundredths of a percent. 1, 2, 0, 0. So I have 0.0015, 15 ten thousandths times 43. 5 times 3 is 15. 3 times 1 is 1. Or 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. 0, 0. Now, 4 times 5, 20. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. 0, 0. Add this up. 5, 4, 6, 0, 0. Okay, we have to move the decimal 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So your answer is 645 ten thousandths, which is letter D. Alright, and then number 10, same thing. I'm going to start with making the percent a decimal. So that's going to be 141 times 0.2, 2 tenths. 2 times 1, 2. 2 times 4, 8. 2 times 1, 2. Move the decimal once, 28.2 or 28 and 2 tenths, which is letter H. So you should have got B, H, A, G, D, H, A, H, D, H. Okay? On to the back. Alright, on the back side. Okay, first off, number 11. Which fraction is less than 1/2? Okay, so if we compare these to these, so like this one has 8 on the denominator. Okay, so half of that would be 4. So is 3 less than 4? Is 5 less than 4? And then this one is 5 over 7. Obviously that's bigger than a half. And then half of 16 would be 8. Well, that's bigger. So A is your correct answer. 3/8 is smaller than 1/2. Alright, now number 12. So it says, which of the following orders, 75%, 1/2, 375 thousandths, and 5/8 from least to greatest? So like we talked about in lesson 5, was it lesson 4? Lesson 4 or 5, I can't remember, sorry guys. So you need to turn all these into decimals and then list them from least to greatest. So 75% would be, I'm going to turn them all into decimals. So remember, when you have a percent, you turn it into a decimal, you divide by 100 and move the decimal 2 times. 1, 2. So 75 hundredths. We have 1/2, which is just 0.5. We got 0.375, which is already decimal, so that's good. Now 5/8 is a little bit trickier. Now we talked about earlier with that trick that if you can change the denominator to be 10, 100, or 1,000. It makes things a little bit easier. Okay, automatically you guys aren't going to know that 8 goes into 1,000. I do, but you guys aren't. So the best thing for you guys to do is just divide the numerator, the top, 5, divided by the denominator, the bottom, which is 8. Well, that doesn't work, so you got to add a decimal. Bring it up to your answer. Bring a 0 in. Okay, that goes into 50 6 times. That'd be 48. Subtract to get 2. Bring down another 0. 8 goes into 20 2 times. That'd be 16. We get 4. Bring down another 0. Well, 8 goes into 45 times. And you're done. So it's going to be 0.625. Well, the problem you're going to run into here, okay, this one has 2, this one has 1, that has 3, that has 3. Annex zeros behind them. Makes things a lot easier. Because now you're looking at 750, you're looking at 500, you're looking at 375, and you're looking at 625. So which one's the least out of that? The 375. Okay, so you go back in here and look. Automatically, you can cross out these two because we started out with 375 as our very least. So now we got to keep going. So the next one would be this 500. Well, that's 1/2. Well, both of them are 1/2. Then the next one would be this 625, which is the 5/8. So that is letter I. So letter I is your correct answer there. So change them to decimals first, then order them from least to greatest. Okay, 13. Okay, we're going to change this mixed number into a decimal. Like I said before, this whole number here in a mixed number is automatically in your answer because it goes in front of the decimal. So 6 point, now we have to worry about this 1/4. Okay, so like I was saying, 10, 100, or 1,000. Well, 4 goes into 100. I know that. So I'm going to multiply that by 25, multiply the top by 25. Okay, so you get 25 over 100, which is 25 hundredths, which is 0.25. So it's going to be letter C. Okay? Now, 14. Okay, what is 0.9 written, 9/10 written as a fraction in the simplest form? 9/10. That would be 9 over 10. Can't simplify that, so it's letter G. Alright, now 15 is just like what we did in lesson 8. This is that percent proportion, because we don't know the total, the whole. Okay, remember, part, percent, whole. So in the percent proportion, I'm going to put 16 over W, because I don't know what the whole is, equals 20 over 100. Now, these numbers don't quite work out very well to do where we subtract, so I would suggest doing the cross multiplication like I taught you guys in the video. So 20W equals 1,600, or we can divide that out, and you get 80. So that would be. Okay? So that's one way to do it. Or you can actually simplify this and make things a little bit easier if that number doesn't work, and know that times 8 times 8. It's up to you guys. Whatever is the easiest way for you. Okay, 16. Fred completed 10 math problems. This is 40% of the math problems he has to do. So 10 is a part. 40%, the 40% represents that it's a part. We don't know how many he has to do total. So we have to figure that out. So once again, 10 over W, 40 over 100. How do you get from 40 to 10? Well, you divide by 4. Divide by 4. So 25 is your answer, which is letter H. So on the back, you should have got A, I, C, G, B, H. So use this to study for the test. The test will be coming out tomorrow. So it'll come out on Thursday. Sorry, guys, because the study guide's coming out Tuesday. All right, so study this for a couple days, and then take your test. Take your time. Only submit it once, okay? Take your time.